Hi everyone, Sarah here. I have a project to share with you this week for the Not2Shabby shop. Here's the information. I will have everything linked down below for you. Don't forget to log in when you're making your purchases to collect your reward points. For every dollar you spend, you get 1 point. And once you have 100 points, you can start redeeming them for $5 gift certificates. And any US orders over $60 ship for free. And don't forget, also when you're shopping, my coupon code is Sarah10 for 10% off your purchase. Yeah. So this week I was playing with this Neat and Tangled, my favorite nut stamp set, which is super adorable. I have some coloring processes that I'm going to attach for you. One is with Copic markers and the other one is with Inktense pencils. So both of them, one I stamped up this guy and then another one I stamped up the little guy separately. So just quickly want to share with you though 2 cards that I did also finish from the greeting farm images that I colored up last week. So for these ones I used a couple of dies from my stash. So the first one is the stitched Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle, the largest one. So that's the base of my card. These wood grain ones, you can see the border here I cut off on this one. So this is the mini scallop stitched rectangles from MFT. Those were also purchased from Jamie's shop. And then this is just a stitched banner die from Your Next Stamp. So these are the Greeting Farm mini remix stamps that I did color up last week with the Distress ink markers. The Happy Valentine's Day is from the Lawn Fawn set. Grab it quickly here for you guys. What's this one called? Love Letters. So I used this Happy Valentine's Day. I love the script in this one. It's so pretty. So that was the sentiment that I used. I've not stamped the insides of these ones. So these ones are just blank. And I did use the Spectrum Noir Sparkle pens, which I'll have to check if Jamie has them in stock. I will link them down below. I actually found them at Michael's, but I do know that Jamie sells them. So super sparkly, way more sparkly than Wink of Stella, I have to tell you. This is the first time that I've used them and they are amazing. So there's that one up close. And then this one, basically I just popped up the banner and then popped up the stamped images. They turned out super adorable. So that was just quick from last week's images. So for this week, I'll show you the Copic one first. I used the same pattern as I did for those cards that I just showed you, except I had this stitched, not stitched, it's dotted. It's just a die, one of the no-name dies from my collection. I had this already done on the Copic paper, so I ended up just stamping these little guys out. So I do have the process for them. I used the black gel glazed pen from Jamie's shop for their eyes and their noses. And then for these little hearts, I hand drew those in with these Not2Shabby gel pens, which I actually won from Jamie super long time ago, but they're super awesome and I keep using them. And I did use the black to write over the sentiment, I go nuts for you, from the Not2Shabby glitter pens. And then on the inside, I stamped Please Be Mine, and again went over with the black and just hand drawn the little heart. So that's the first one with the Copic markers. Turned out super cute. And the second one is with the Inktense pencils. So I was just playing around, but it turned out so nice that I decided to put it on a card front here. So I have a stitched rectangle and then a scallop out of patterned paper on the background. I did use the glazed gel pen on the eyes and the nose again. I heat embossed this with black embossing, the I Choose You. And then in the back, I have You Are My Favorite Little Nut. So favorite, I heat embossed, and then I stamped the You Are My, and then a little nut separately. So that's the inside. And that is it. So I will attach the coloring process for both of these for you guys so that you can see the difference between the Copic and the Inktense. They both turned out super cute. Alright, so leave a comment, subscribe, and have a great day. Thanks, bye. Okay, so I'm sharing with you the Copic coloring. These are stamped with Simon Says Stamp and intense black ink on Copic coloring paper. For these squirrels, nut, the part that I am coloring right now is E33 and E99 for the bottom of the nut. And then on the top of the nut, it is E39 and E29, so just a little bit darker. For these squirrels, I was kind of going for a gray squirrel, just to do a different color. I didn't want it to blend in with the color of the nut, so I did grays, but they are the brown grays. So I used 4 of them. I used E71, E74, E77, and E79. So I had started off just wanting to use the 71, 74, and 77, but then I thought it didn't really have enough contrast to it, so that's when I brought out, in the end, I brought out the E79 to add a little bit more contrast. For the ears and the cheeks, I did use R11, just dotted in some color in there. And then that is it for the coloring on these guys. I did end up going in after I finished them off and added in a ground underneath them just with a gray, I believe it was N2, and the colorless blender just to ground them so that they weren't floating in the air. So that is it for the Copic coloring. I'll just play some music and let you guys finish watching this part. Now on to the Inktense coloring. So this is also stamped with Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink onto Canson XL watercolor paper. For the leaf colors, I used 1520, which is Hooker's Green, and then for the darker green I used 1510, and that one is called Beach Green. I just do one color, so you saw that I did the lighter green and then I'm leaving it to dry and going on with a different color. So I'm moving around like that. For these squirrels, I wanted to make them red squirrels. So for the first color that I'm using here on the squirrels, it's 1910. It's a red oxide. And then you'll see me go in with a little bit of a darker color on some of the sections of the squirrel just to add in some shading. And that is 1930. It's a dark chocolate. Again, I'm still playing around with these. I'm not any sort of expert or anything. I did get them last October for my birthday, so I've just been playing with them. I do love them. It's really bright colors. Kind of a contrast to watercoloring with the Distress inks because you get more muted colors. So, but this one turned out super cute. Very happy with it. Okay, so then on to, after the shading in there, onto the bottom of the nut. I actually did the bottom and the top with the same color for the first base. So I used 1900, which is Willow. It's the nice light brown. And then for that was the only color that I used on the bottom of the nut. On the top part of the nut, I used the 1900 Willow for my first base, and then 1730, which is Oak, for my second layer. You'll see I did a second layer. I didn't like the way it turned out, and then my water pen was leaving a lot of water, so I blotted it off with paper towel, and I kind of started over again with just the 1730 Oak. With these Inktense pencils, once you put the color on and put the water on, once it dries, it is permanent, so you can't move it around again. So if it is still wet, you can pick it up with paper towel and kind of move it around. So you'll see that I'm moving some of the color around when it's wet because I have the darker along the edges. But if I left that to dry, once it's dry, you wouldn't be able to move it around again, which is a cool effect. So, all right, so after I finished all of the coloring on this guy, I didn't want to leave it just plain, so I decided to do a bit of a blue background. Definitely watercolor style. So I used 1220, which is green aquamarine, and I just lightly added some color around the entire edges of the image, and then used my water brush to pull it out and give it a nice watercolor edge to it. It turned out super awesome. And again, this coloring I did with my new Molotow water brush that I got. I purchased it at Curry's art store here in London, but I'm sure you can purchase it in other places. It was a 3-pack, came with 1mm, 3mm, and 4mm, a flat one. But the 1mm is perfect. It's just like my old water brush that I used to use and couldn't find a good replacement for it. So love the way this one turned out. Alright, so that is it. I'll leave you with the rest of the coloring. Enjoy! Again, leave a comment, subscribe, and have a great day.